My name is Raul Lopez, and I have a brand named Luar, which is actually my name backwards, Raul. It was a way to kind of fool people with an alter ego to be accepted, and then them thinking I was a French boy or something like that. And then it was a plot twist that it was actually me.
Yes, I'm a New York-based designer, born and raised in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, Old Williamsburg. I think I was really inspired by seeing all the immigrants that were coming from the Dominican Republic and all the Caribbean islands and just immigrants in general. And in my house, there was always an industrial machine. So, you know, I was seeing a lot of that at home when they would come from work, and then they were making clothing for me. But, you know, I think I'm always really inspired by people. I just love to study why they're wearing things and build this world in my head. But also a lot of it comes from nostalgia and chapters in my life that, you know, instances that I went through growing up or thinking into the future. So a lot of inspiration comes from just like chapters and sentences in my life. And my clothing is just like my book. So this collection, I was really inspired by this specific neighborhood that's right by my house in the Dominican Republic where my friend lives, which is called El Hoyo, which means the hole. It's a very rough neighborhood, but it's really beautiful to me. It's like, you know, this is just how people live. And I think people need to see and experience this side of, the other side of me, where it's not just this like New York boy. But I was pulling up to my friend's house, and as I'm pulling up, this like song was like blasting, saying like a song called Socorro, which is also my mom's name, like her nickname. And Socorro in Spanish means help. And as I'm sitting in the car pulling up, this song is blasting, but to the left of me, and to the left of me is like all these people like drinking, having fun, and like kind of partying. But then to the right, there's this woman who like put a podium up, and she has two lights, and there's people sitting outside on the sidewalk on chairs preaching. She's preaching like a pastor to these people as all this is going on. And I was right in the middle, and I feel like Luar is kind of like this intersection between spirituality and, you know, turning up, and like, you know, I like a little bit of both. But as I was sitting there, I was just asking myself, like, why is all this happening at one time, but kind of work so well? So like a lot of the collars you see have like the pullback collar was kind of a metaphor of being pulled back every time you try to record. And I feel like in this industry, or just in general, I feel like when we're always moving forward, something kind of like pulls you back, even though you're like doing well. And I feel like it was just kind of this crazy sign for me. So like a lot of the clothing has like these buttons, and the deconstruction and the reconstruction, which is kind of like another metaphor of like you can be taken apart, but you can always bring yourself back up. You know, and it's the form of like also like being modest and be modest. Like if you want to be a little sexier, just unbutton your skirts. If you see the skirts have like, they can also be like a mini skirt, but they can also be a full length, knee, like ankle length skirt. So like the crackle leather is actually a representation of the floors in the Dominican Republic in people's homes.
Interesting.
Like in my friend's home, it's like cement.
Oh.
And it kind of crackles. So the cement crackled floors in my friend's house is actually the fabrics that we got made are like that crackle leather. It's to resemble the floors in my friend's homes, my grandmother's home. The color, that like really cream color, is very specific because when you wear that specific cream color, growing up, if you wore like a nice cream suit, but it's very particular. It has to be that exact cream where they look at you and they're like, ooh, you look like you got money. You know, it's like, yo, you look rich. So it's like things like that, where also, which no one knows, I'm actually colorblind. So if you see all my collections are always neutral tones, and there's never colors because of that.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, so that's another reason why the color palettes, and that's also to resemble like modest colors for the season too. Because like you don't want to like when you're being modest, you don't want to like stand out too much, you know. Like the like pinstripe blue men's shirts, a play off of like the Christian like uniform where it's like the khaki with the blue crisp shirt or the white crisp shirt and like the blazer, so like but it was just like that was my interpretation of it. The bag was really inspired by, it was just, I wanted to create a bag that was timeless and an heirloom that can be handed down from generation to generation, but it was also an homage to my mom and my grandmother, who both were named Anna.
Nice.
Yes. So the mod handle is a nod to my grandmother. She comes from that era, the 50s and 60s. She worked in the factories here in that era. And my mom worked in the factories in the 80s and 90s. So the briefcase body shape is more of a nod to the 80s and 90s. So I wanted to like create this piece that kind of brought both of them together and like people can carry this with them. And it's also a bag that represents more than what it is. It's a bag that represents immigrants that came here and worked in these factories to make clothing for all these people who are like of leisure. But I wanted to make a leisure bag at an affordable price where everyone can kind of afford it and feel bad that when you walk in, I made it that you can put it on a table and people can see it, you know? And when you walk in, you feel powerful with it. Tired, but good. This was a really great show. It was really beautiful. I think probably one of my best shows. I think I've been doing this thing where I am because this is a form of myself and refining myself, and I think it's kind of translating to my collections now where I'm doing more suiting and more tailoring and using better fabrics that I can afford now. I actually worked with Japanese mills.
Interesting.
Yeah, all these fabrics are from Japan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's actually from Naomi's town.
Oh, in Nagoya?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
yes.
interesting. Wow, that's pretty
Nagoya.
cool.
Yeah, there's some factories in Nagoya that I work with. So like all the crepe fabrics, all the like vinyls and the jerseys, they're all from Japan. We're just hustling, trying to, a lot of great things. I think this was a good moment to kind of like solidify myself in fashion, and now that I'm with the clothing slot, it's pretty honorable and like I'm really grateful. But I think now I want to go global. Yeah, I'm going to Japan. I'm thinking of probably going in the spring.
Awesome.
But I want to go for a while. Usually when I go for like 2-3 weeks. I love it. I love cherry blossom.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
My
Season,
favorite.
yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite in the world. Definitely I want to do something in Japan, like a party or a pop-up or something like that. Japanese community has always shown me love since the beginning of my career. They were my first stockists. It was Nubian. Yeah.
Kombo-san.
Always was ahead of the game.
Yes.
Always. And Kubo too. Great. Maybe I'll do something with Great or something like that in Japan. They always support. I love Kubo. Kubo's great.
He's super cool.
That's like my brother. Yeah. But yeah, let's see. Let's see where everything goes. I don't like to really say things because I don't like to block anything that might be coming that I don't know. So I always leave it to the future.
Right.
Whatever happens, leave it to God. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. But I'm excited to see what happens.